Hello, everybody. This is Micha from Go Big Coaching, and we are here for another episode of Go Big with Micha, the Confidence series. My guest today is Lisa Smith, and we are going to talk about strength-based styling. I'm super interested in that. I'm generally interested in everything fashion and style, so I hope you are too. This will be an interesting conversation. And but before we get started, let me introduce Lisa. She's an ICF certified coach and the co founder of Shift Coaching Services. She's also been a stylist with Cabi, a global clothing company, for 15 years. So she really knows what she's talking about. She's been doing that for a long time. And she's been styling people for even longer, most of her life. Yeah, I think that's something that's a passion that develops very early for many people who enter that field. And her big thing is just seeing the transformation when her clients look and feel confident. Um, Lisa is actually a Seattle native, so I know how rare that is because I've been in Seattle for 10 years, and people are like, "Oh, wow, you've been here forever." Yep, there are people who are actually who were actually born here and grew up here. And she's a single mom of two daughters, and is a very social person who loves to meet with her girlfriends, share food and wine, enjoy nature, hiking, a little bird watching. And one fun fact that most people don't know about her is that she knows how to hula. So that we cannot show that today, but that is so you have all the information in the on the event page where you can reach out to Lisa after seeing this, and of course we welcome your questions while we're talking. So please drop them in the chat, and we'll have them be part of our conversation. So
Perfect.
thank you, Lisa, for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So before we dive into what you do, tell me a little bit about your take on confidence. What does it mean for you? How do you feel about confidence? Let's get started there.
Okay. Well, confidence really comes, I believe, from within, right? And when we show up, how do we express our confidence on the outside of our being? And so I just think it's really important that we take the time for personal growth, and that helps to build our confidence.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Would you consider yourself a confident person?
I do consider myself a confident person, right? We all have moments of self-doubt, but overall, I love my life. I love what I get to do for people, and
Mhm.
I would say yes. I feel like
Yeah,
I'm a pretty confident person at this point in life.
yeah, yeah. And that's a good one. That's a good qualifier too at this point in life because we all have these moments. But I think it's like with happiness. I can call myself a happy person without being happy every day of my life,
Right?
obviously.
Right.
So I think confidence, that's a similar thing. I don't have to be it all the time to
Right.
generally feel that way. So today we are talking about strength-based styling, and that's super interesting. So maybe you start explaining
Yeah.
that concept first, and
Okay,
yeah.
absolutely. So one of the great tools that we use in our shift coaching business practice is that I actually brought it so I could show everyone. It's the Gallup Strengths-Based
Mhm.
assessment. And
Yeah.
we use that both in coaching and in styling. And when
Mhm.
we use it in coaching, it really helps our clients be able to be reflective on what they are innately great at. And then we just continue to work with those strengths. And we apply it also in the styling piece, in that without knowing it, people are often dressing to their strengths. And so when you
Mhm.
know your strengths, it just makes your life better. It gives you more confidence knowing that you've got these there's 34, but the assessment gives you your top 5.
Five,
And when
yeah.
you lean into those, not only in your professional and your personal life, but also with your clothing, it just makes for a easier, more joyful, and gives you a lot more confidence. So when you know how to dress into your strengths, it's just a different lens to kind of consider how to show up with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, one
Yeah,
of my
yeah.
top
Let's
5
let's give an
strengths, I'll
example
give an
with the
example because people are like,
because for the
what?
people who haven't done the Gallup test yet, I'm familiar with it, but not
Yeah,
every. So
yeah.
yeah.
So what I love about the Gallup Strengths, I've been studying it for years now, is that like one of my top 5 is what's called maximizer. So kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the word suggests, I just like to get as much done as I possibly can. And so through coaching and styling,
I'm
we
not
take a
surprised, by the way.
right.
Yeah.
But there's a balcony level, and then we talk
Mm-hmm.
about the basement level. So the balcony level of maximizer is I can really get a lot done in a short amount of time or over a long period of time, but I like to just get as much done as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
That's the balcony level. So I'm really good at being able to strategize and maximize my time. And then the basement level to that is sometimes I just need to not think I need to get everything accomplished in one day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I get done, I need to then step back and go, you know what? I'm pretty proud of what I accomplished today, and I'm okay with that. So, there's the balcony and basement level. And how we apply it with clothing is so, maximizer. When I wake up, I consider who am I seeing during the day? What am I doing? A lot of it is to how do I want to show up? How do I want to express my confidence? And so I'm strategizing and maximizing my outfit potential, right, with what I have going on for the day. And so that is one way we look at helping our clients feel confident is leaning into their strengths, both with coaching and in the styling aspect of strengths.
That's so cool. Can I give you two of
Thanks.
mine to just
Yes,
because now
let's.
I knew I had it saved somewhere last time I did. I mean, I have to say for most people, mine have changed quite a bit. The first time I
Okay.
did Gallup was like 15 years ago, and the
Mm-hmm.
last time was like 2 years ago.
Okay.
There has been some consistency, but other things have changed.
Yes.
So let's look. Uh, my number
Ooh.
1 and 4 are in the strategic field. They are strategic and futuristic.
Ooh.
My
Okay.
number 2 and 3, if that I'm just giving you options here. My number 2 and 3 are influencing, they are activator and communication.
Okay.
So
Okay. So let's go with your number 1 is strategic.
hmm,
Oh,
and
so
4 is futuristic, so that's the same field.
okay. Okay. So let's go with strategic because that's your number
Mm-hmm.
1.
Yeah.
When you're getting dressed in the morning, Mika, how do you think that your strategic strength shows up?
I actually, before the pandemic, I
Mm.
liked to really have my outfits planned the evening before.
The evening before. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
That makes
so
sense. Yep.
that would kind of be my end of my workday was putting up like on a hanger in the bathroom. This is my outfit for tomorrow. So it's not as consistent anymore. But because pandemic, because
Yep.
sweatpants and
I
leggings.
hear you.
But I do this thing in the morning where I say, okay, what's showing up today? How do I need to be dressed for that occasion? So, for instance, Thursday is definitely putting a little makeup on,
Right.
taking out not necessarily the super comfy clothes, not the baggy comfy clothes, because I have my show here. I usually combine that with, okay, what is good for video, so that I make some videos afterwards. I guess
Mm,
that's a strategic
very, very
approach.
strategic. Yep, absolutely. And what was your number 2 again? Remind me.
My activator, yeah.
Activator.
Ac-
Oh, I can
yeah.
hear activator too because you take action. You
Mhm.
took the action to prep. And what about how would you say your futuristic strength shows up when you're getting dressed?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. Um, I like to. I have a very set of staples, but I like to throw in experiments.
Ooh,
Maybe that. And usually my staples are very nice, high quality, and then the experiments come from clothing swaps or Goodwill or whatever other ways just because I'm playing. So that
fun.
might be a futuristic one,
Yeah,
especially because that's where the fashion comes in. Generally, I'm more a style person, but that's where the fashion aspect comes in.
sure. That's awesome. Well, we did it. We just did our strengths-based styling assessment. That's awesome.
That is fun. That is fun. So, people, if you are interested in that, please contact Lisa. All the information is in the event page, and she's on the usual social platforms. And if you can't find her, I will gladly connect you with Lisa.
Thanks.
And you also put a freebie in that is also in the event. What's that about? The wardrobe checklist. What do I need in my
Oh,
wardrobe for?
right. Well, you talked about staples earlier,
Mhm.
and so I would say that's essentially a checklist just to make sure that you have all your essentials, your staples, or your basics covered. And like you said, it's kind of fun to be able then to add, once you have your basics covered, then you start adding your personality, what makes you feel confident. Maybe it's right this time of year. A scarf is fantastic to be able to add a little color, give you a little bit of warmth. It's very strategic too, right? You
Mm.
can use it
Yeah.
for warmth and for some fun fashion and style, and maybe adding some color. So that's the freebie checklist. And then I
Mhm.
also just wanted to share too that we have a upcoming masterclass on November 9th. It is also free, and participants or people who are wanting to register can go to the Shift Coaching website to register for the class. It's at 10 o'clock Pacific on November 9th. So that's another free way,
Great, great.
another
So
freebie.
if you see that between now and November 9th, don't miss that class. Don't miss to register. Probably have a replay too, but you need to register. That's for sure. Um,
Yep.
so a lot of women I work with work in male-dominated industries, and so it's tech, it's automotive, mobility, uh, cybersecurity, those industries, and I always feel that how to dress in those very male dominated fields is a particular can be a particular challenge. Have you encountered that with the people you work with too?
Well, I think that's a really interesting point and topic because right now, so many different organizations and businesses are redefining their dress codes because
Mm-hmm.
everyone has become extremely much more aware of comfort. What's
Mm-hmm.
business comfort? What's business casual? And there's a little bit more of a loosening of strict dress code policies. And so that's kind of nice. And I would just say that in the male dominated field, that women who show up confident, as your topic is, that is the most important piece, and how they feel when they're in their roles is what's going to shine for them with that confidence when they're with their male counterparts, right? It's that confidence piece that is the most important. And so really considering how does your confidence align with your wardrobe is it's
Mm-hmm.
really an important piece because it really your clothing tells a story without you even
Mm-hmm.
saying a word. So how do you want to be seen? So yeah.
So let's just take an example. Let's take a female engineer, very confident in her technical skills, uh, but doesn't necessarily feel like a big communicator, or maybe lacks a little in confidence about her leadership skills, something like that. Very, very common scenario as people advance in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
And coming, let's say, from that tech background, it might be a woman who has been dressing like an engineer for many years in her career, with hoodies and sneakers and so on. So that is challenging, right? When you're in a leadership position,
Mm-hmm.
do they have to adapt, or is that a thing? How would you
That's a
work with a
really good,
client like
yeah,
that?
I would say yes.
Mhm.
It- yes, there should be, from going from an employee position to a leadership role, your position is elevated, and I believe your look should be elevated too.
Mhm.
It all comes back to being comfortable. We should always be comfortable in our clothes, but how do other people in those leadership roles show up? And
Yeah.
so sometimes it's emulating, but it's also showing up with your authentic self and what makes you feel confident, whether it's putting on a really great structured jacket, and maybe it's a graphic tee underneath, or maybe it's a
Mhm.
beautiful colorful blouse. But how can you align your confidence with your
Cashmere hoodie.
wardrobe?
Cashmere hoodie.
A cashmere hoodie, right? That's beautiful. It's comfortable, soft, and strategically warm as it's getting cooler
Yeah.
here in Pacific Northwest. But I do think it is important that you take a look at your wardrobe, and as you're advancing your career. I have a new client who is going from PE teacher for over 20
Mhm.
years, and now she's a public speaker.
Oh
So
yeah,
we
that's
are
different.
right. So
Yeah.
she's like, help me. I've been wearing sweatpants to work
Mhm.
for 20 years.
Mhm.
And I want to show up in, I want to look myself, but I also want to show up and present myself in a different manner. Aside from just being the PE teacher, I'm now public speaker. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that's a very good example. So what might be the first kind of staples for her more
Yeah,
public persona in that case? Because
right?
I feel like a lot of women tend to grab for the red jacket, which is something I do because red is my color. Red has always been my color. That's different. But I feel like that red jacket as the armor of confident women,
Love it.
not everybody is comfortable in that.
That's true, right? She went from sweatpants. So
Mhm.
she
Yeah.
really started with basics, and
Mhm.
basics that, like we talked about, the staples, excuse me.
Mhm.
And we looked at, what she comfortable wearing. And excuse me, we looked at dresses, right? Some basic
Mhm.
dresses, not basic, but staple dresses,
Right.
basics, right? You want to
Yeah.
have a closet full of your basics. And then she can add a red jacket or whatever color makes her feel super confident as the weather changes. She can start layering, adding a scarf, great
Mhm.
jewelry, right? A statement piece of jewelry. Um, and heels for women have come down quite a bit since the pandemic. People are like, what? Cute sneakers, right? Comfortable loafers. But being able to be presenting yourself, for her, it was like she works out really hard. She
Mhm.
wants to show off her great figure. So we also tailor. It is important to have pieces that are well fitted for your body type as well.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that we cover in our master classes. How do you dress for your body type? Because that's going to give you confidence too, right? So knowing how to dress for your body type and highlighting your best features. And in her case, she's like, I work out a lot. I like
Mhm.
how I look. So she likes dresses. We also chose trousers, coming back to those neutral colors,
Yeah.
right? And neutral, somebody asked me recently, I should never take that for granted, but what I would consider neutrals are your grays, blacks, whites, beige, taupes. Those are your neutral basics. And when you have a closet full of those, you can really mix and match your wardrobe. I was speaking to another client recently, and she's also strategic. And when she was working a corporate job, she literally just had those basics and staples because
Hmm.
she didn't want to have to worry about what she was going to wear every day. And I thought that was
Right.
really
Right.
smart because that just one less stress out of her day, that she knew everything that mixed and matched so she could show up confidently. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I used to do weekly capsules for a while. That was fun. Where I
Oh,
just on Sunday I would put together like 10 or 15 pieces, and they would all mix and match, and that would be
yeah.
my wardrobe for the week. And I wouldn't look at the rest of my closet.
Smart. That's
That worked
smart.
really well. I should maybe do that again now that
Hmm.
I remember that. Another question that came to mind, because I feel there's still a lot of double standards, especially in corporate, around, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg in his jeans and gray t-shirt, generally as a staple, as a standard, always, no surprises there, versus how women dress, and uh, and ageism figures in there too, don't you think?
I think
So,
so.
what do you say to a woman who says, "Ah, yeah, I used to wear those let's say, short dresses a lot when I was younger, but I'm not comfortable with those anymore. I'm 50 now,
Right.
whatever."
Right.
So,
I think
as
it's really
age comes
important.
in.
Yeah, I think it's important that we embrace the bodies that we're in right now, no
Mhm.
matter what shape or, and we know a lot of people have bodies have shifted through COVID, and women's bodies go through lots of different changes. And I
Right.
think it's just really important to be able to dress confidently in the shape and the body that you're in right now. And yeah, looking back, my daughters, they're wearing those
Hmm.
really short skirts, right? But that's age appropriate. I think it's also is important to consider dressing appropriately for, whatever situation you may be in.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you know, actually that leads me into my big last question, because my favorite question is, which advice would you give to your 16-year-old self? And the first time I was uh, confronted with that question, I said, wear more short skirts and belly t-shirts right away.
I love it. I love
That
that.
was the first thing that came to my mind. Shorter skirts as much as you
Shorter,
want to.
right? It's always a trend.
Mm,
Always. I
mm,
cannot, I have two daughters and
yeah,
one that just turned 17, right? And
yeah,
so yeah, they're short, their skirts are very short. And that hasn't changed, right?
yeah,
It continues.
yeah.
And now as a mom, I'm like, okay. um, but to the question, what would I give advice to my 16-year-old
Mm.
self? Is that the question?
Yes, yes. Sorry,
Um,
I.
I would say to my 16-year-old self, continue to pursue what brings you joy.
Hmm.
And I think if when looking back, like I've always loved helping people get dressed. I was the girl in high
Yeah.
school that had her friends over, and we would do, I'd help them pick out their
Hmm.
dresses and help them with their hair and makeup. Um, and I would say, follow that, keep following that thread. And I
Hmm.
kind of put that on pause and then picked it up. I've always done it. It's just always something I've
Right.
naturally done because I love it. But I would say continue following that thread. Maybe I might have veered more into a fashion field. But you know
Hmm.
what? No regrets. I'm right where I need to be, right where I'm
Right.
supposed to be. And I get to continue to do what I love, which is helping people transform their lives inside and out. So, but I think I would advise myself just continue on the journey of what brings you joy.
I love that, because I feel a lot of us have the experience that whatever brings us joy at that age is gets the response that, oh, that's not how you make money.
Right.
That was a big one, right? And when I
Huge.
think about it now, being in middle age,
Hmm.
so many jobs didn't even exist back then
Right.
that people have now, that my contemporaries have now, right? And coaching wasn't a thing back then either, right? So
Right.
so many things just didn't exist. So our parents can't even claim to say this doesn't make you money because they cannot forecast the future. So and also I think the second thing is, even if you decide to do something else as your career, you still want to keep it in your life, uh, for, I don't know, in your leisure time, whatever it is
Right.
that brings
Hmm.
you joy. So yeah, I
Absolutely.
love that advice. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being
Thanks.
here, Lisa. That was great. I love to talk about style. And thank you. That Gallup thing is really interesting. So, people, if you're interested in doing that, please reach out to Lisa. And don't forget to register for her masterclass on November 9th when you see this here. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Next week, we talk about overspending and confidently leaving that behind with
Mm.
Erin Keem, who's a podcast host. So I hope to see you all for that again. Have a great rest of your week. Bye bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye now.